Today we're going to be talking about WDT tools for coffee. I have 4 of them in front of me, and we're going to be talking about which one is the best one on a budget. There's a lot of expensive ones out there, but I want to find something that is affordable for the average home coffee and espresso aficionado at home. So let's get into it. I want to talk about the ones that I have here. This first one is called the Flip. This is a 3D printed one by Ponzer Designs. You simply flip it over and it comes out. We're going to go more into details on here. The next one is the Subminimal Flick. Subminimal Flick. You simply press a button and then shoot it back in, flick it back in if you will. This one is by Portakeeper. This one actually mounts onto the wall or onto the side of your coffee bar. I have the mounted, so I just have the WDT tool in front of me. And this other one is a WDT tool that has a little case here that I was gifted from somebody on Etsy who no longer sells it, but there's a lot of identical ones out there to this, so I'm going to go over the concept of that. WD has been around a long time, and it has proven to give you better consistency when it comes to shots of espresso. For me personally, I choose to not use it because I find the grinder that I have does a very good job of not having clumps. However, a lot of other grinders don't have that same convenience, and they bring a lot of clumps into your coffee puck, so this helps you avoid those things. So I want to start off with the one by somebody on Etsy, and this one is a pretty similar one. You simply just take it and you put your portafilter down and you whisk it, breaks up all those clumps, gives you a nice even bed, and put it back in your holder. We're talking about the designs more than the actual function of these things. All of them will pretty much perform more or less the same on here. Tamp it and you got a nice even coffee ground bed like so. And I'm going to basically take it to unclump the same thing that I just did because we're going to use the same grounds because we don't want to be wasteful. The one thing I like about this is it's an all-in-one package. You don't have to mount it to anything, so if you change your gear a lot, it works out great. The thing I don't like about it is it doesn't always fall center in there when you put it in there, and sometimes if you get it right, your needles can kind of hit the fins to keep it centered in there. When you look at this on the inside, there are some coffee grounds, and you can see those 4 fins that kind of keep the WDT tool centered in the middle of this. It's super easy to replace the needles. You simply unscrew that, and that'll take care of it pretty well. The next one we have is the one by Portakeeper. This one is a very similar design. It's got 6 needles. I'm bad at counting. 7 needles. 1 in the center and then 6 around the edge. It functions the exact same as the first one that I did here. The one thing that I like about this one is that you can just mount it and simply get it out of the way versus the first one has to sit on your countertop. And again, just testing this, it works out super well. These needles are actually thinner than the other ones, than that first one, so it makes it a little harder to kind of break up the clumps after you tamp it. Nobody does that, and you should not do that. That's a waste of your time. I'm just doing it for the sake of this video. So it works well, does a super good job. The next 2 are a little bit more pricey on the end. I want to go with this Ponzer Design one. This is made in Kansas City, 3D printed. It has a nice kind of cork base to it, and it has kind of a hexagon design with 6 needles similar to the layout of the other one. This one is kind of compact more so rather than spread out like the other 2. However, I find it does an adequate job. There is a bent needle on there because I was not using it correctly. I took it apart and I did a very bad job of putting it back together. But basically, it works super well because you can take a coin and unscrew it to replace any of the needles, and he included extra needles with it. This comes in a variety of colors, and it's nice because you simply just put it in there, or honestly, you don't even need the base. You can even mount this base with some adhesive onto your machine, similar to the Portakeeper one, and that would protect the needles at least, and you just simply flip it over, and it has a nice weight to it, and does a very good job of distributing the grounds. And the nice thing about it is when you go super far, I love this design, and I don't know if it was intentional or not. When you put it too far down, it will end up raising it up. So like you're not going to be pressing the needles against the bottom of your portafilter bed if you do your WDT too closely or too far down into your puck. So that's kind of nice. You're not going to damage the needles that way. And then you just simply flip it over and put it back in your little carrier, and you're good to go. The last one is the most unique one in Panzer Designs was actually working on this design before the Flick came out. I just happened to get them both around the same time. And I love supporting local people on Etsy because I think it's cool of all the equipment and the gear that you can get for coffee when it comes to that kind of stuff. So this is the Subminimal Flick. So you almost kind of use it like a pen. You just click down and it has, oops, I can't flick it completely. It has 6 needles. There's no center needle on this one. And what you simply do is you just flick it back up and it's good to go. I love how it kind of points them outwards. It comes with 2 things. It comes with this nice little weighted bed, and it fits this tip of it perfectly fine, so it looks like a pencil, and it goes in there fairly well unless you're being super aggressive with it, which I don't necessarily recommend. It also comes with this adhesive piece of rubber. You simply stick this to whatever device you want, and it will hold it to it like a magnet. So you can put it on the side of your machine and vice versa. Super, super thought out design, and I love how satisfying it is. You can flip it over. You can just simply flick your wrist back up, and it's good to go. The thing about this one in particular is it has that same kind of mechanism as the Panzer Design one. So when you push it down too far, it will raise the needles back up into it, preventing damage, and you can do your WDT. The thing I don't like about it is the needles are very, very thick and way more dense than any of the other ones. So this is very annoying to film this, but you can see these are like more maybe 0.7, 0.9, like pencil lead thin. If you remember using mechanical pencils when you were younger, versus this one's like the 0.5. So it's super thin, way more breakable and way more bendier, but it's easier because it kind of works with the coffee grounds a little bit more. So with all of these mentioned and with all of these used here, there's quite a bit of a difference in them. I love the Portakeeper one because it's simple, easy to use to pull off from the wall. If you're not nervous about the needles sticking out all the time, I would definitely recommend this one. It's super easy to take apart and super easy to replace those needles, and it has a nice threaded design that you can maybe see in here with a good width of the needles, a good thickness of the needles. It was just done right, and it sticks to the wall or to your machine. I don't find these needles to ever get in the way because I have it stuck behind my machine, so like the chances of me ever getting my hand caught on these needles is slim to none. This one is nice, but I don't like how it's easy for it to sit sideways. This was my first one, and it definitely performs well. It's nice because you can move it wherever you want and it's not fixed on something. But if I were honestly choosing to buy one now, I love what Subminimal did with the Flick because it is just so satisfying to use, and I love it, but I hate the thickness of the needles. Now this is built very well. It's like a nice, I don't even know what kind of finish it is, but it's not 3D printed, and you can tell. 3D printed is not bad, but this one just feels very premium and manufactured and really well thought through. Like this looks like a premium WDT tool, and it's just really nice and thought through. I just don't like the needles, and it has less needles, so less moving of the grounds per se. Honestly, when I think about it, I would be hard pressed to, in performance wise, choose between the Panzer Design one. I just really like how simple this one is of just flipping it over and it falling down, using it to do your grounds. I don't like how it's all condensed as much and it doesn't spread out like the other ones. It's safe to use. You're not going to have needles on it. It is just a different design. You can mount it anywhere or you can set it somewhere. So if you decide that you have 2 setups or something like that and you move it from downstairs and upstairs like I do, you can easily do that and leave the base detached, and you can still easily place this wherever you want even without that. And it's just, I don't know, it's just nice to use. It's a little bit more fun to use than the other ones and just does what it's supposed to do and does a good job. Really, really great design. I did pay full price for I won this first one in a contest. Portakeeper sent me his. I paid for Subminimal and I paid for Panzer Designs. So I would kind of rank it here. I would probably pick Panzer Designs if the needle thing was a problem for you. If it's not a problem for you, I would actually probably pick the Portakeeper one because it's the easiest and quickest to use. These are kind of tied for first depending on what your method is, Panzer Design, Portakeeper. I would honestly probably put the Flick next in third place because it's super fun to use and it does work well. It does not function as good as the very first one that I have and the very first one that I showed you, but I I don't like placing this one back in the holder. It just doesn't work super well for me. That's it. Please like and subscribe. Stay tuned for a lot more content coming up. We got some excited things and some excited brand new products that just released. So I would love for you to tune in and watch those videos and join us here on the channel. So subscribe if you're looking at purchasing these. I have it all linked below. Thank you so much for watching.